Henry Wilson School currently operates at capacity. So it's not being abandoned because it's being underutilized, but it's being abandoned because it's in poor physical condition, correct?
In very poor physical condition.
Okay, and is it beyond renovation?
It's beyond renovation for what you can do with that building to make it what it needs to be.
Okay, so it's beyond renovation. What is the plan for the students that live north of Henry Wilson School, that currently go to Henry Wilson School? Are they going to be expected to walk to the new Beach Street, or?
So we're actually working right now on the division of the enrollment for Wilson, and we've got a few different models that we're looking at. We are hopeful to bring that out into the community next week. So I'm going to hesitate on answering your question fully, just I will front load it a little bit. You're going to see at Finance and Facilities next week that information coming forward.
Do we need more square footage per pupil today than, say, 30 years ago? And the reason I ask that is because I hear that a given school is at capacity, but then I also hear that that same school had actually more students in years past. So could you please just go ahead and explain that for the sake of clarity?
So yes, you need more space per student to teach with a modern pedagogy.
One other thing is obviously the class size. The district has set class sizes, and so in an elementary school, they're essentially your homeroom. It's not like at high school where there's a utilization factor and you're going in and out of classes. This is your homeroom. And so limiting the class, not limiting, but setting a class size dictates how many students you can have and therefore how many classes you need.
I'm not entirely sure it's accurate to say that this project has no impact on the tax rate. I mean, the money that's coming in from the state could be used for other educational expenses, and I just want to be square with the taxpayers. On top of that, state money is taxpayer money, so I don't agree that this project is not going to have an impact on the tax rate. Also, there's quite possibly going to be cost overruns, which none of us can predict at this point. Are you going to be involved in the construction process?
We're involved in the design, correct.
How about the actual construction process?
We don't build, would be overseeing as part of our scope, but we don't build.
Well, questions concerning the total square feet of Phase 1 with your renovations in Beach Street. Do you have that number available, or?
The total? Yeah, so we're somewhere between 150 to 160,000 for the middle schools in total, and then Beach was Beach is 106.
106,000?
Yeah.
What's the levels of the Beach Street School? Is there 2 levels there?
Three.
There's 3 levels. So you're going to go from a 3-level to another 3-level school? The new one, the new build, you said it was 3 levels?
The existing Beach is 2.
Right. So you're going to go to a 3-level.
Correct.
What's the thought process? My understanding is that you wanted to go low level for safety reasons and evacuation. That's not correct?
No.
Well, my understanding was that was the reason why we were getting rid of Wilson, because the levels. That's not right. Okay.
No.
So there's just misinformation out there on that. So you're going to go from a 2 to a 3?
2 to a 3.
Okay. And that'll be done by stairs, or is there elevators in there also?
Always elevators in new buildings.
All right. On the... what's the current square feet of Beach Street now?
I don't have that at the top of my fingers. We can get that back to you.
And the square feet of Wilson?
I don't have that off the top.
Okay, that's not a problem, but I would assume that the 106,000 that you're planning for a new build is going to be approximately the amount of the square feet currently, or is there a big jump?
The 106 is specific to the 734 students, so the population. It's population driven.
And what's the population right now at Wilson?
Wilson right now, we'll find that. 398.
Oh, that's all there is.
Thank you.
There. Okay.
Our principal is here.
398.
Nice to see you.
So the total amount of 200 and, let's see, if I looked at the middle schools and the Beach Street build out, looks like it's about 200, I don't know how many square feet, 266, and that's broken down into the 292 for a square foot cost.
It doesn't work that way.
I was afraid of that.
So it's,
in other words, taking out costs for management of the project, et cetera.
yeah, I mean, the new Beach Street School is a brand new construction, so it has a different cost delta to renovations. Even the additions at the middle schools have a different cost than the renovations, because you're working within an existing structure.
Which
so
are
you
higher.
You can't just take it and
Is
divide it.
lower price for a new build than a renovation on a square footage? Or the other way around?
The other way around.
So it's cheaper to do a renovation per square foot than it is for a new build?
Not necessarily, because we have to start, not for these projects because of what we're planning, but that is not a given that it's cheaper to do renovation than new construction.
So normally, a renovation is lower per square foot cost than a build-out.
It depends.
But in this particular instance, you can't tell us which it is.
So I'm not sure I'm understanding your questioning.
I'm just asking on the renovations that you have at the 150,000
Square feet.
square feet for the middle schools, the costs per square foot will be different than 106,000 square foot cost for a new Beach Street school.
It will, because at the schools, you've already retrofitted your lighting, so our intention is to save all that new lighting that you've already done. You've already gone and done some work with the ESSER funds on the HVAC, so we're not going to replicate.
On the issue of getting the park land across from Beach Street currently, what's the alternative plan if it does not go through?
We would look at the Beach Street site.
Okay. An addition or complete tear down and build?
We'd have to analyze that.
Because you don't currently have enough modulars to do something like that.
Correct. No.
So you wouldn't be able to do that?
Correct.
And the issue isn't only whether, I'm not sure of the technical maneuvering on the park, but even if Amoskeag granted the park land, it still has to be approved by Land and Buildings, or does it not matter? Even if the Amoskeag Industries agreed to allow that park to
That's our
become
understanding.
parkland, it has to be going through Land and Buildings.
How many fifth grade classes are leaving the schools and going up to the middle schools? So 20 classes going to the middle schools. So with that, I was just wondering, why wouldn't we have the kids go Wilson school, kids have public school choice, and they can pick their elementary school instead of going to the modulars, because I have concerns about the modulars, the back and forth during the different seasons, and the safety and security, and also, when kids are out and about, and there are some kids that run from school, and so the back and forth. I'm just a little confused. Why don't we have the kids go to the other elementary schools?
So it becomes a capacity issue at the other schools, just the same as we're seeing right now, the compression at the current schools that have fifth grade still in it. So we've got a number of our West Side schools who saw the roll up of fifth grade. They're using their space. We don't have the flex within all those buildings to take mass numbers into those schools with the new class size in place. So right now, elementaries and middles are holding with their catchment area. We are looking at all of those boundaries to make sure that they are clear and that we've got the feeder pattern set, where you'll start to see school choices when we have more discussions about the high school model.
For the numbers that are under every school for the students, for example, under Parkside, it says 1,000 students. Is that projected, or is that the amount of students that are there on every sheet?
Those are projected, so that's the goal when you have a 5-8 complete 5-8 through the 4 middle schools. That's the projected.
So that's projected even though middle schools might be not at capacity right now. We might have a lot of emptiness in the schools.
Your middle school buildings are over capacity right now.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Another question I had was, I know there's a lot of conversation about our vulnerable students. We have a very large population of them. Many people here tonight have already spoken about them. How come, or has there been any talk of a more specialized school for those children here in the city, not at a high school level? you can't be starting at a high school level when issues are starting before elementary.
So you're correct, and it is part of our discussion. We are looking at what alternative programming could look like district-wide, not just at the high school. We've targeted right now high school and middle school as our starting point.
How come that wasn't kind of put on the forefront because of our population? Is what I'm wondering, why, if we have all this money that we could be spending on new buildings, maybe hold some stuff off on the high school level or some other level and get those children the help that they need. Because I know that a lot of residents, they do complain about the lack of special ed. And you can't have kids going through schooling having issues and not being addressed and hoping that they can do all these really great programs in high school.
I don't think it's being held off. The team is actually right now looking at a whole review of what special ed looks like within our schools. And so Ms. Malora has done an audit of all 3,000 IEPs. We're getting a pretty good sense of what the demands are in our schools. And like I said, we're just working backwards, starting high school and middle school first, and then pitching back into the elementary schools. We just can't do all of it at once. We had to pick a starting point. No, nobody does not want our students back in our schools, though.
I appreciate that, and that's why I was asking, because we have students going out of district for that, and I don't want the message to be sent that, hey, you guys can wait, right? We're going to do all of these great areas, for other schools and kind of keep transporting you out.
Did you look at a cost for tearing down Wilson and then putting a new one up with 68 less children in it?
With 68 less children in it.
Well, your fifth grade's moving out of Wilson, so.
No, we did not.
Okay. And the reason why I ask is if phase 2 never goes through, we're going to give you a lot more room for maneuvering as far as Beach Street lot. So if you didn't get the park, you could leave Beach Street alone. You could take down Wilson entirely and put up a new one. You look into the cost of that and whether or not that would be a money saver, or you're spending 76, I think, thousand to build a double school of Wilson and, how much?
Million.
A million, 76 million, excuse me, yeah. For how many square feet, I forget, but so 76 million for Beach Street, combination Wilson. So if you didn't get the park, you could leave Beach Street alone and then you could do a new school at Wilson. You have the footprints there for a brand new one.
No. And if we add in the programs that we just talked about, it's a lot less capacity than the 68 students. I think that's the
So you don't have the
point.
square feet at Wilson Street to put up a brand-new school with less students, because you could, if you wanted to, put a small addition on to Beach Street School and take, a couple hundred or 100 kids from there, but you just completely refuse to do anything with Wilson, even if it was a tear down and rebuild up.
We're not proposing replicating
But
Wilson
what if
as
you
well.
don't get the parkland? You don't have a contingency for that, number one. And number two, if you're not going to get phase 2 through, which from the litmus test that I have, the city's does not want, there's not another need for another high school. We don't want a brand new high school. The members of the board that I've talked to, I don't believe you have the votes for the bond on that. So we need an alternative plan on here, just in case. You don't own the land, you didn't get the park, you guys bonded all this property, you designed all of this stuff, you rushed it through a board when you had the favorable votes, and now you're with a brand new board, with a brand new mayor, and now you're probably going to have to break a wishbone and hope you get the land, or you get the votes to get the land. Pretty precarious situation. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some alternative ideas here.
Not tonight, no.
Okay.